Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast. This is a 3 times weekly show looking into the exciting happenings of Ipswich Town Football Club, available on video and podcast. My name is Benjamin Bloom. I'll be here each and every Monday for this, the flagship show, for sometimes irreverent but always informative hour or more of football conversation. So make your Monday a Blue Monday. Gentlemen, what a team today. Introducing... Well, I never know which way it's going to come out on Skype. On the left, Mr. Joe Fairs, academy expert, football manager, statistician, father of 2, corporate,
good guy,
corporate,
beardless though.
Lingerer.
Where's the beard, Joe? What's going on here?
I shaved it off in honour of Ipswich's win yesterday. Spoiler alert.
That's good. That's strong.
Nice.
We should all do that.
That's backfired, isn't it?
It has. How you doing, Joe?
Yeah, no, I'm really good. Yeah.
Yeah, and from the wildly popular Blue Monday preview show, resplendent in his Christmas sweat. You drinking Guinness, Joe?
I'm actually drinking.
Sorry, Richard. I'll do your turn. Oh, okay.
Ipswich Town beer from Away Days Beer.
Nice, good plug there. Where can we find them on Twitter? At Away Days Beer, probably.
I think it is that. I haven't checked though, but I think it's that.
Let's do Richard's intro again. Host of the wild. I've even written this down. Host of the
Anything else to advertise? No.
Blue Monday preview show. Richard, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad to bring a bit of. When you hosted the preview a few weeks back for West Brom, you said it was the highbrow. Me and Harry, the highbrow. So I'm here to bring a bit of class and dignity.
Yeah,
to
do you know what? People think about that show that you're doing a good job. It's easy, isn't it? 4 minutes preparation. And
honestly, I just
wind up Harry and let him go.
Yeah, exactly right.
No,
it's to under an hour and a half, Rich. That's all I've been told by Ben, guys. That's it.
It's a brilliant show, available every Friday morning-ish on the Blue Monday, and we love it and we thank you. Cole Skews underwent minor surgery for a torn cartilage this past week. The operation was successful and he's likely to be back ahead of schedule. Good news, Joe?
Yeah, definitely good news. He was starting to come into some real good form under Lambert. He's obviously played a certain role under the previous manager, which was maybe a little bit more limited and basic. But Lambert seems to have been allowing him to express himself and obviously learning from what was one of the sort of best midfielders in Europe on his day. Lambert is a good thing for Skews, and definitely was disappointed to see him injured, and hopefully he'll be back soon.
Richard, the first rumours were like, 4 months or something. But what do you think? End of January, pulling that out of the air?
That'd be nice. He's already said that he reckons he'll be back early, doesn't he? But that's probably a footballer who wants to play football saying that. So I suspect he'll be managed. But yeah, it was 2 months, I think it was the original estimate, wasn't it? The proper one, not the TWTD version. The doctor's on TWTD. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Tyrone Mings pulled out of an appearance on TalkSport to talk about racism in football after objecting to comments from Dave Kitson. Kitson said, "You cannot condone this racism in any shape or form." He added, though, "We have a duty of care as footballers in the way we portray ourselves. I've looked at Sterling's Instagram and they've been deleted now, but it's all look at my cars, look at my house." Richard, was Tyrone right to not do the interview, or should he have gone on and said his piece? Would that have been more powerful, or does his silence speak more?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it's either way, to be honest, because we're talking about it, aren't we? So either way, he's taken the right step because there's a discussion about it now. So I think have the debate if you're kind of intellectually up for it. And frankly, Dave Kitson, he might speak a good game, but I suspect he could probably have him in a debate on race. But yeah, we're talking about it. So I think Tyrone's done the right thing there. Mings, he's done, yeah. Right. And clearly, it's a really weird situation, that Chelsea situation, right on telly. That's just crazy. But as a society, it's something that we've got to face up to. So it's good that the debate's being had, probably a bit belatedly.
Joe?
Yeah, no, similar to Rich. It's obviously up to Tyrone whether he wants to go on or not and defend himself, or not defend himself, but to go and debate it. And if he thinks that the station aren't taking it seriously, and there is an element on TalkSport of a sort of troll, they do like to get people phoning up. They do deliberately set people off against each other, maybe on a subject as serious as this. That isn't the way it should be handled, and I think he's right to draw attention to that.
When a child can't get good attention, they'll go for bad attention over no attention.
Yeah, and I think Dave Kitson is, when you actually listen to him on there, he is a little bit like that quite often. I think he's almost failing in his sort of post-career. I know he does a Secret Footballer books.
Don't ruin it.
What?
It's assumed he does a Secret Footballer books, but there were some interesting bits on Twitter when you see he's going on about Raheem Sterling's social media pages, and they put up some of Dave Kitson's pages where he's out shooting guns, sitting in front on bonnets of Ferraris saying, "Oh, retirement's treating me well," and things like that. So he clearly wanted to have a dig at Sterling, and just totally sort of obvious that he's exactly the same. He's just a young, rich man.
Maybe he wants the corner of the Chris Sutton, Robbie Savage, say something controversial to incite people to call up market, which is really tedious and unfortunately growing a little bit. But anyway.
Well done, boys. Good straight bet on that one. Who am I coming to? Joe, Town have exercised the option on Freddie Sears' contract. A lot of these contracts are, you'll correct me, Joe, I think is it 2 years with an option for a third, unless you're Emir Hughes? So he'll be at the club until 2020. Is that a bit of a no-brainer given his current form?
Yeah, I think so. When you see his recent form, he's playing well. The manager obviously likes him. He said how he's been very impressed, and with regards to how clever Sears is as a footballer, he's playing in that role on the left-hand side, and I've always thought the wide roles have suited him better than the centre-forward role, especially when you don't play two up front, and you've got to tie him down now. Otherwise, as soon as we get to January, we're in that countdown to his contract ending. There's all the talk of, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? And probably another year's is right. You don't want to time up for another 2 or 3 at the moment. One more while we've got the option is a good thing to do.
Richard?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, on form at the moment. Selfless, and another one of these players in the squad, of which there are very few with championship experience and championship pedigree. I don't know whether we're going to talk about Jonas a little bit later, but obviously his situation
comes up. I think that comes up in the question, so I'll come to you on that when we get to the questions. No spoilers, but here's a big spoiler because we're all keeping a straight face. Ipswich won against Wigan, so we're going to go to Portman Road. I described it as more like the Hunger Games than football in my. It's a bit like the Grand National, wasn't it? Let's just do double the length and make the fences twice as high. Add wind and rain, but ridiculous conditions at Portman Road. Do you know what I thought? I thought this is another thing that can go against us. You know, we're going to come in with those players missing that you guys pointed out on the preview show, and we're not going to get a fair game against them. But it went our way. So here we go. Unchanged team: Gherkin, Spence, Chambers, Pennington, Knudsen across the back. Chalobah sitting, Nolan and Downs quite tight in front of him. Lancaster off to the right and Sears to the left. Jordan Roberts up front. Wigan with lots of names missing. I'll try and remember them all, Rich. Jacobs, Powell, Dunkley and Naismith, if I've got that right. So it was
suspended, yeah.
Walton in goal. Actually, Joe, just now while we've got you here, just can you just tell us a quick bit about Reece James from your academy football head, the right back?
Well, he's a player that's really about 2 years ago. He was seen as he went to the Toulon tournament, which is generally sort of almost like the second-class youth tournament of the year, where sort of the players that don't fit into any squad, they send an age group range dependent on how that went. And he went along to that, did really well, and subsequently went to I think it was either the under-17 or the under-20 World Cup. I think the under-20 or the under-19s. And he almost got promoted on the back of his Toulon form after winning Toulon. Then he won the next tournament he was in. And then since then has just been a regular at, I think it's under-20 level for England or under-19. But he looks a real player. When you see him yesterday, he looks so comfortable. And I think his sister plays for England as well on the ladies' side. And I think he is the one, probably of the Chelsea lot, that he might not be the most sort of exciting or have the most sort of talk about him, but I think he's going to be the one that's just going to kick into the team and just actually sit there. I think he is the one that will make it at Chelsea.
Reminded me of when we were on the promotion run under Burley, Ashley Cole playing for Crystal Palace. I'm not saying Reece James will be anywhere near as good as Ashley Cole, but you're like, hang on a minute, who's this guy? He's that age? Right, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
John Terry went to Sheffield United as well, and we kind of forget about that. And then, blimey, remember he was in Championship. Just what you were saying, Joe. We chatted about it on preview show as well, the Wigan fans were pretty confident he'd break into the Chelsea team at some point in the next few years as well, though they didn't like Connolly or Garner, so maybe pinch a salt with that one.
Interesting. So James, Kipre, Byrne with a U, and Connolly. Connolly playing left back, so he's not a centre midfielder anymore. Evans and Morsey in midfield. Byrne with a Y, Windass, and the other Roberts playing off Grigg. So I'll try and summarise this just abominable first half. We got to give the players a little bit of credit here. I was comparing it to the Bolton game at the Reebok in January, where it was just, unforced error, but it must have been ridiculous to play in. One really, really good chance for Ipswich and one half chance for Wigan. So it's Windass that gets played in down the right. Rich, he controls it really well on his thigh, drags it across the goal, but pretty difficult chance, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, is that the one where he got in between Pennington and Chambers, or was that one?
Yeah,
right
corner of the box and dragged the shot.
I mean, that was they didn't really get behind us too often, particularly in the first half. So there was a couple of sides, but yeah, I mean, it was a tough one, but yeah.
And
difficult
the
position.
aforementioned James puts a beautiful cross, swings it all the way over, and neither Windass or Grigg could get there. But the big chance for Ipswich, Joe, was on 35, where Chambers, who I thought played with quite a lot of composure on the ball compared to a lot of the other players on the pitch, plays it through. I'm going to give Roberts the credit here. I'm not sure this was entirely where he meant this flick to go, because it doesn't really change the trajectory of the pass very much. I think perhaps the Wigan players thought it's going to change direction more than it did, and it fooled them a little bit. But Sears is clean through, Joe, and he should score here, shouldn't he?
Well, he's got to at least hit the target. He doesn't really sort of make a sort of beeline towards the goal. He carries his run sort of straight, which takes him to a narrower angle than I think it needed to be. And you can't put that over that shot. I think you can put that wide. You can drag it slightly wide. You can miss it at the near post, but there's no excuse for putting that over.
No, yep. I agree with that. I agree. So look, it becomes even more of a circus into the second half as we get the rain on top of the wind, all sort of swirling around. Yellow for Chalobah on Kipre, yellow for Connolly.
Yeah, it was harsh. I mean, we could start. When are we going to talk about how bad the referee was yesterday, Ben? Because that Chalobah challenge looked harsh to me, and that was the start for me of a run of really poor decisions.
I'm sure it will come up in the questions.
Let's talk about the injury time at the end of the second half.
Oh my god! Yeah, okay. I'll agree with you on that one. So Connolly takes a yellow on Lancaster. Now Wigan then, funnily enough, this is normally where we say Ipswich are on top for 10 minutes and then the opponent score, but Wigan are actually the better side now from 55 up to the goal. Really, big boot by Byrne forward. James 1v1 with Knudsen, and I'm getting Pavlovian with this now, where as soon as someone's squaring him up, I'm like, don't let him cross it, don't let him cross it. He works him. He doesn't even get that much space on him. He smashes the right foot shot across Gherkin. Really unlucky. Gherkin wasn't saving that if that was a foot lower, higher, left, whatever. Knudsen at fault there, Rich?
There was no cross, was there? So at least he stopped to cross by letting him have a shot. I mean, it was another. I picked out James as probably their best player on the day, and he's several occasions he appeared right at their penalty in our penalty, didn't he? And that shot, I mean, that had movement as well. I don't know if it was wind affected, but I didn't think it was a particularly good day for Jonas yesterday either.
No,
but yeah, that was really unlucky.
Vaughan in for Grigg on 60 for a bit more muscle. Big scramble from Gary Roberts' corner. Back to Connolly, hits it right-footed. Kind of gets lobbed in, and he doesn't realise how good a chance it is. But I guess judging the trajectory of the ball when it's in the air was impossible. Edwards comes in for Lancaster. Hard game for Lancaster, but hard game for everybody. All Wigan. Really probing, and Joe on 67, the greatest goal you have ever seen in your life ever. Never mind Venus to Naylor, holds it up, Clapham overlaps, cross, Stewart to the near post, perfect liquid. No, This was better, wasn't it? So Freddie Sears is going to score. Joe, what the hell happened?
Well, it's a sort of high ball into the box where Roberts is fighting with it against a defender. It bounces back. John Nolan then sort of just gets there and just heads it back into the danger zone. Well, I say the danger zone, back towards where Roberts was. Roberts then is down on the floor again, still fighting. And I think he gets a toe on it, but then I think the defender pokes it to Sears, who just takes a touch and just hits it early. It looks comfortable for the keeper, but a defender seems to sort of slash across it, but doesn't. I don't think the defender actually touches it.
I don't think he does.
And then it goes through the defender, and then the keeper's not set, and it just flies in off his shoulder. And
so I think the defender does get something on it. I think he puts it more in the corner than it might have been otherwise. I was sat in the North Stand end yesterday, and I thought I saw something. I think because there must have been. I don't think it had the movement on the shot to put it right in the corner of the net. But yeah, Roberts. That was the only was a contribution from Roberts. I thought that was an assist, but
I think you're clutching there, Rich.
I'm clutching at two things there, aren't I? Yeah.
But Rich, I said at half time to the guys around me, you just got to play the conditions now. I remember seeing Reading play at Sheffield United play at Reading last year, and it was really icy, and they just played really direct and took no risks. And the team that makes the fewest mistakes, and one shot, goalkeeper mistake, you'll take it.
You've got go on, Joe.
So you've got to try and test the keeper in days like that as well. You need to take shots, hit the target, and be following up, because they're not going to be able to hold anything. The conditions were so poor. It was so windy. It was so wet. The pitch was sort of not holding up that well in the second half, just because it was so wet. And I think we didn't take enough shots when things opened up for us.
Rich?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. That's literally what I was about to say.
There you go. On 70 minutes, one of my favourite Ipswich players of the last 10 years. Here comes Joe Garner. How I've missed that guy. And within 2 minutes, the move we all loved, we immediately hated. Gets in front of a defender, stops, lets him knock it, falls over, and wins a free kick. I'm sorry, I love. Dazelle in for Downs. I was quite surprised by that one. I kept looking across, thinking, right, when's Harrison coming in? But it's almost like Paul Lambert knows more about football than me, isn't it, hey? He puts Dazelle in for Downs. Why did he do that, Joe?
Because Harrison wasn't even on the bench.
Oh, Harrison wasn't on the bench. No. There you go. He can read the programme. He can read the programme as well, can't he?
It's like he picks the team as well.
But Joe, more specifically about Dazelle, I'm like, is this the game for a tricky, pretty guy who's going to, play lovely passes through?
No, I was expecting Bishop ahead of Dazelle, to be honest. Someone who's got a little bit more sort of a bite about them, and is older, has got more experience in the Championship, even if it was some time ago. I was just expecting him rather than Dazelle.
Interesting. Now we get these free kicks on the edge of the box. The first one possibly looked like it could have been in the box. Dave was hobnobbing yesterday in the director's box and said legendary Joe Royle, wasn't pleased with this one. But I just wanted to, something resonated with me when you guys said get shots on target, test the keeper. There's 3 Wigan free kicks here, 2 for James and 1 for Roberts. And it's only the third one that hits the target, and Gherkin plays it sort of quite safe and just pushes it round the post for the corner.
Yeah, I think they were looking at the lines, weren't they, to decide whether it was a penalty or a free kick. I don't know if it's the first one or not. Someone sent me a freeze frame, and it looks close. So I think we might have got away with one there. But again, sat at the opposite end of the ground, just looking at the goal square on, you're thinking that right-hand post is just open there for a kind of similar moment to when Blackburn, I think, scored a last-minute free kick against us last season or something like that. But fortunately, Gherkin spots it. It's a nice low save, but it was nervy, wasn't it? Bloody hell. It was like trauma the last 15, 20 minutes of that game.
Roberts takes a yellow, wins the ball, but gets the guy on his follow-through. Knudsen has a little bit of a dally trying to shepherd the ball out. Don't take any risks, Jonas. Get rid of it. Jackson comes in for Roberts. Apparently Harrison wasn't even on the bench. And then one of my favourite groans of the season here, 7 minutes of injury time. Now, it's very hard. We have to do our best to be balanced on here and not just moan. But we do, yeah. Okay, that was odd, that 7 minutes. I can normally think of a justification to defend a referee on that. But you guys must both have been thinking, Joe. Well, this is
4. I was expecting 4 minutes.
But I was thinking,
ridiculous.
they'll score 2 goals in this now. They won't just score 1 in injury time. They'll actually beat us now. Sorry, Joe, go on.
Never win.
Well, in the first half, the physio had been on twice in the first half, and there'd been another stoppage. And I said to my dad at half time, I said, it doesn't really bother me because that half was crap. I was glad to be back in the warm.
Absolutely.
I said, how can there only be 1 minute injury time when the physio's been on twice and there'd been another stoppage? And then in the second half, there wasn't really anything to justify there being more than the sort of standard 3. And he gave 7 minutes. Like, I was speaking to one of the stewards next to me who is on the headset, and it had been phoned up that there was going to be 6 minutes, and I thought he was winding me up. And then just before that, Gherkin got bundled into the goal, and when he was going to take the goal kick,
no yellow card for that challenge.
He was taken to move it and tried to move it across. And then the ref was pointing at his watch, and then it changed to 7 minutes based on that one incident that added a whole another minute onto the injury time because of that. And it was, and like you say, that how that wasn't a yellow card when Vaughan went in with the elbow, no intention of winning the ball.
I thought that might be a red card actually when I first saw it.
When you see it back, it looks a lot worse than it did at the time even. And I say Chalobah got booked for being slightly late on a header going on shoulders. This guy flew in elbow up so late on the ball, so late on the keeper. My biggest surprise actually was the ref didn't give a goal.
Yeah.
Can anyone remember how many it was for when Skews got the concussion against Norwich? Was that 8 or was it?
Yeah, it was something like that, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. No, just baffling. But hey, they got through it. They got the win. I said in my match review, I could say that we'd played well and been better than a team, because that kind of wasn't the case at Swansea for the other win. I can't believe I'm saying the other win in December, but we'll take it. Quick summary, Rich, and then we'll go to questions.
Yeah, I think, as you say, the conditions yesterday, I was kind of right at the back of the North Stand lower, so I couldn't really feel the wind or the rain, but there was a few moments where Gherkin's kicks were kind of coming back. Yeah, exactly right. I was in exactly the right location. But you're right. I mean, whatever it takes to get the win, it's now what we need. You know, if we essay, I'm trying to find a nice way of saying shit house a win every week, then so be it. Do you know what I mean? This is the situation we are in. 5 points now we are, 8 points we were before. Whatever it takes. So I'll happily play badly, probably be the second best team I think on the day. I think that was pretty much fair enough, but still take the 3 points. Let's have some more of them. Let's do it again next week, frankly. Do you know what I mean?
Joe?
I'll happily take the 1-0s.
Yeah, I don't think we were particularly second best. I just think it was two teams struggling in the conditions, and we got the win. And all that mattered was the win yesterday. We just had to get that 3 points. There was sort of, if we hadn't won yesterday, we'd all be looking at the table again, thinking there's no way we're going to get out. This January is going to be too late when you look at the 3 games coming up. So that was I know we've said it a few times, but that was a total must win, and we did enough to edge ahead, and then we held on. That was almost sort of win which we've had over the last few seasons, which we've built upon in tough circumstances.
Yeah, and we'll go through the results in the roundup, won't we? So, and why yesterday winning was so massive. And the other thing as well is at full time, everyone's singing in the North Stand and singing as they're walking home and singing in the pubs that I was in as well. Suddenly there's all this confidence that Lambert is trying to be fostered by being uber positive in his press conferences is suddenly endorsed with a win, and everyone's kind of up for it. It's a big test next week though, isn't it?
Let's go to questions. This is Alfie Goldspink. Is the foreign leagues a good shout for Paul Lambert, given he knows the German market and has scouted the French? Joe, any value in the foreign markets?
I'm not sure that there's a huge amount of value in there for January market, but if he's looking longer term, then it's a good move. But I think at the moment we're only going to have a small 3 loanees we could probably bring in, assuming that Eden goes back, Graham goes back. Obviously, Walters is gone, so 3 that we can bring in, and you imagine they're going to be experienced championship campaigners, those guys.
Richard, this is Andy Grimes. Is it true to say that Town fans have been numb for a decade as a result of mid-table finishes and dull football, and this horrible predicament has made us all feel something for the club again?
Perhaps. Yeah, we had an interesting question on the Thursday show from I think it's a guy called James Mealing, who was too young for the Premier League relegation 15, 16 years ago, whatever it was, and it was, what does relegation feel like? And sometimes, I guess, if you have nothing and you're numb, anything may be better than something. You know, so I can understand why. Yeah, I guess he feels that, but I think they're still quite lacking in the ground atmosphere. There was only 14,000 there yesterday. I still think as a supporter base, we need to do more. And if we survive, how great will that be if everyone's kind of invested 20,000 in the ground every week, build for next season? But yeah, still a long way to go.
Joe, this is Ben Frost. If you were told you could only sign one player in January, what position would be your priority?
Striker.
Done. Ash Lewis. Reece James looks a quality player. It's a good question. This. Did we get the wrong Chelsea loanee? Rich, can I ping that back to Joe with his academy head on?
I think when you look at the sort of the positions in our squad where we've got a weakness, I think a right back would have probably been a better signing than another central midfielder. I thought Chalobah was probably our man of the match yesterday. Personally, I thought he played really well, and maybe having Scouse not there allowed him to play that more natural, deeper role rather than getting in each other's way. But like I say, when you see the build-up of our squad, I know Scouse is injured, but I don't think it's difficult to argue a right back would probably be adding more value than another central midfielder.
I don't understand. Go ahead, Rich.
I was just trying to get your thought. I don't know if we've got any questions about Nolan, but obviously you guys weren't at Stoke, I don't think.
No,
yeah.
I wasn't, no.
So any thoughts on Nolan from your perspective? I thought
Nolan was more composed than most of the players. He seemed a lot calmer in those conditions. I don't think I've seen him play better than that for us.
I still too safe for me personally. I just found when he was on the ball, he doesn't look for that forward pass a lot enough. He's coming back a lot. I wasn't overly impressed with him.
What do you think?
Maybe a confidence thing. I thought he was really good last week. Again, he kind of grew into the game. I definitely agree with Joe. There was a few moments where he burst through and could have found a positive pass and maybe went sideways or something like that. But I think there's a player there. I think Davis said that, hasn't he? I thought he was okay yesterday.
This is Peckham Blue. Is Tresemme right to be angry with Tony Blair over calls for another referendum? Is that Tresemme the shampoo people, or is that a typo?
Theresa May, I'd guess.
Ah. Is Theresa May right to be angry with...
No, she's an idiot.
There we go. Politics.
Or she's a genius, depending on your view on Brexit. But let's not go there.
No.
2 hot potatoes in one pod. Let's not do that.
Unsubscribe. Whose go is it?
I think it's mine.
Do you think Paul Lambert will sign any ex-Norwich players? Heard a rumour that we're looking into signing Nelson Oliveira. If we did, how would you take the news?
Well, we heard about Ben Marshall. I think that was the only ex-Norwich link current Norwich link, isn't it, that I've heard. Again, beggars can't be choosers, right? And Ben Marshall's a decent player. Oliveira's a decent player. So spices up Derby Day, doesn't it?
Interesting. Joe, this is Kevy T. You're going to give a diamond answer to this one. Were we resilient or lucky yesterday?
Resilient.
Bit of both.
You have to be lucky as well as resilient, don't you?
That doesn't seem to have happened a lot the last while. Luck and Ipswich. So there we go. Benjamin Erie. Roberts seemed to struggle with the physicality of yesterday's games. Are we in dire need of a more physical forward, maybe a target man and get behind some long balls? Can I reframe that question? I spoke to Dave yesterday on the phone on the way back just to get his take before we did the pod. And I was all, oh God, Roberts is terrible, isn't he? And Dave was a bit more sympathetic, saying, look, he's being asked to do something that he clearly isn't up to. Is he? I'll come to both of you. Is he a poor footballer, or is he just being asked to do something that's not remotely within his skill set?
I think you said this in your post-match video, Ben, that he's just probably not a championship level footballer. And I suspect what he's been asked to do is quite straightforward, which is unsettle their centre-backs and try and get around and try and get on the ball. But I think he's just, unfortunately, just not of the level that we need. And that's why he doesn't find himself in the right positions. That's why the ball bounces off him when ideally he should control it. So in terms of the question, I think absolutely we need more quality up there. And I don't think we can blame Jordan Roberts that he's not Daryl Murphy from 2014-15.
What's your view, Joe?
Yeah, I think he's doing okay, but he's not good. He's not good enough to play that role as a number one striker for a championship team. He's works hard. He throws himself about. He gets stuck in. He's doing all that he's capable of, but the ball doesn't stick to him, and he struggles with the actual football. But he's done a lot better than I thought he would. But
that Preston game,
still not good
enough. He was really good, wasn't he? Preston.
If you took Jake Cooper, the Millwall centre back, and put him up front, would he be better? Or Toto Nsiala?
Well, they don't have the sort of explosive pace. Roberts can be quite quick and can unsettle people in that regard. Like I say, I think he's done okay, but he's very much a stopgap. It's just a shame that the gap has been so long.
Agreed. Joe, Arthur Pickthorne. Thought Chalobah was excellent yesterday. I think you both agree with him. He offers something with driving runs from deep, causing real trouble. Is he showing why Skuse doesn't come straight back in when fit? For me, he brings so much more than Skuse. Joe?
I think there's an element of that. If Chalobah can cut out the mistakes in his game, then he's going to be a very good player. But ultimately, that's why he's here, to learn to play senior football and cut the mistakes out of the game. I think people, because he's so big, I think people forget that he's still very young. He's younger than Andre Dozzell. He's only a few months older than Jack Lancaster, and he's a very young player, but he's come in with a big reputation and a big guy, and people think he's a senior player. He's not. Like I say, he's not going to be. I don't think he will keep Skuse out of the team once Skuse is fully fit, but he's definitely going to do himself no harm if he keeps playing like he did yesterday.
It's his first professional season as well. I mean, we won't forget that too. This is his first time playing football. I know at the championship level, it's a lot more nasty, a lot more vicious than under 23 football that he's probably used to. And he hasn't hidden as well. That's the thing we were chatting about last Sunday. He tries stuff. He might make the odd mistake, definitely does, but at least he doesn't hide. And I think he'll be a good player.
And I think most of his mistakes are positive mistakes as well. He makes mistakes when he's trying to achieve positive things.
Like
yeah,
it's good-natured, not vicious. I like the stuff you do about his hand. Andy Nichols said, how many players... that was an obscure one, wasn't it? How many players do you reckon Lambert will get in January, Richard?
How many players
are going to come in? Joe's already alluded to 3 loan spots. We expect them probably all to get filled. Would there be a permanent one if anyone goes out?
I suspect if we are looking to get quality reinforcements to get us out of trouble, then it'll mostly be top tier Championship, bottom tier Premier League loanees. And again, if the Evans rumours are to be believed, I suspect he's not going to want to stick money on fees. But it sounds like we've got money left over potentially from our Dinnings in the summer. I don't know. I think we need about 5 players. I think we definitely need better fullback options. I think we need probably another midfield option as well, depending on Skuse's injury. And obviously, we've talked about the front options as well.
This is Blue Soap. What players is Paul Lambert likely to move for? I think we've done that. Is it just me, or is Spence improving, Joe?
I don't think he's as bad as he's made out. I know he's sort of become the scapegoat.
You mean football fans exaggerate?
Yeah, like I say, he's not brilliant, but he's not terrible, and he is what he is. Really, we know what he is. He's a sort of probably a lower end Championship fullback, and
free from MK Dons,
But he's a player that could easily be improved on, I'm sure. But I don't think he really lets us down as much as he's made out.
Richard, Harry Butcher, how important is it that we also get something out of Sheffield United? Can I broaden that question? When does the next win need to come? Bear in mind Sheffield United are good. Did you see what I'm saying? It can't go... What was Swansea 10 games ago?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the job at the moment is to maintain the points gap. So we can lose at the moment as long as Millwall, Reading, Rotherham, all those lot keep losing as well. I suspect Sheffield United have got an amazing record, including away games, against the bottom teams. I think they've won pretty much all of those games. They can't beat the top 6 teams, mind you. So I suspect next week, and McGoldrick scored, didn't he? So Sheffield United will be tough. I think QPR is a game where we need to look to get a point, possibly, but Millwall on New Year's Day, that's a biggie for me. And then we're in the kind of January windows open, flings open, or whatever it does. So I think, let's not push our luck. But,
doesn't slam shut on this podcast. That's banned.
Doesn't it? Just
also, I'm banning War Chest as well.
You're in charge, Ben. You're doing wrong. I'm going to say it loads on the Thursday, on the preview show.
War Chest, slam shut. War Chest, slam shut.
I'm going to slam shut a War Chest. It'll be brilliant.
Wow. This is Muller. Only ITFC have won in the last 6 games out of the bottom 6 clubs. Does this vindicate everything Lambert has been saying about us, or has he been talking us into the improvements against the odds? Really fascinating, this, Joe. Harry called it the elasticated league table, and it really is getting extreme, whereby the top 6 beat the middle echelons and the bottom 6. The middle echelons beat the bottom 6, and the bottom 6 beat no one at the moment. And if you're Hull, for example, who've got 15 points in 8 games, they've zoomed off over the horizon. Those bottom 6 are really, really terrible, aren't they?
Yep, we are. No, I think the problem is the Championship is almost becoming a bit like the Premier League, where there is becoming the divisions within the division. There's so much money at the top of the table that teams like West Brom can turn up and not play particularly well, but have that real quality in their team, that they have players that can just pick you off. And at the teams at the top, probably Norwich and Sheffield United don't have that same quality, and the teams around them, the Villas, the West Broms, the Derbys, just have the players that.
And I bet you
as
well, Joe, Borough will spend over 10 million in January, I reckon, because Pulis wasn't happy or do you know something significant? You can see Derby adding someone.
Villa will spend, won't they?
Villa will buy one of the Brentford fullbacks for like 6 million or something, won't they? Sorry, Joe, I'll cut you off.
Yeah, no. Like I said, those teams have just got so much money and will just pick up the players. It's just so important that you win especially your home games. You just got to win as many home games as you can and try not to lose your away games.
Wigan is 16th at the moment. Wigan are top of the crap bit of the Championship, and they weren't particularly good. Yes, they were. Then you look at Hull, probably doing all right, aren't they? Sheffield Wednesday in freefall, Brentford in freefall. Yeah, it's possible.
This is Brad. I think we covered this, Brad, but I'll read it anyway. What do we make of Dazelle coming on rather than Bishop the last couple of games? I think Joe did that earlier in the podcast. Richard, this is Taco Man. With 5 goals in 7 games for a team bottom of the league, is there any chance of anyone coming in to try and buy Sears in January? Well, revisit our contract answer earlier in the podcast, I think.
Yeah, well, that might be definitely a way to keep him. I guess if someone offers us 5 million for Freddie Sears, knowing our owner, we'll probably take that seriously, won't we? So
he's gone.
Money talks, but obviously we want to keep
Derby, you think?
Ugh, yeah. Stick him on the bench with Wagon.
Joe, he's referring to my review. You said about Knudsen in your match review. My comment was that he's there in body, but not in mind at the moment. Do you think he's just out of form or had his head turned by another club?
I don't think it's so much he's had his head turned, but I'd imagine he's just not overly happy with his situation where he hasn't been offered a contract. He's still getting up and down the pitch well, but he just doesn't seem sort of as good as he had. But then he had a long summer. He went away for the World Cup, straight into pre-season. Is this a period of the season where he's starting to feel heavy legs?
Adam Williams, what would be the panel's one Christmas wish each for ITFC? Let's not say a new Malaysian owner with £4 billion worth of assets, but a realistic one, Richard.
I'd like us to go into March with a legitimate chance of staying up. I think I'm going to be reasonable. I'm going to use my wish and be pragmatic and reasonable. But I think as I said, the rest of the teams above us are beatable and are rubbish, and some of them the form is. So let's, the wish is that we've got a chance of staying up because we've given ourselves a chance now, haven't we?
Joe?
I'd probably say top 6.
I would say
top 5.
On wages. We were talking about Scott Hogan on the WhatsApp group earlier, weren't we? And I know Dean Smith likes him now, so he won't go anywhere. But like they did with DJ Campbell, spend on wages on a striker who, even if you're not playing well, if he plays the last, how many games have we got left? 24 games left. Plays the last 24 games, will score you 10 to 12 goals. That would be, I know that's easier said than done, but there must be someone on the bench somewhere who's, too good for the bottom of the Championship and will ping goals in most games there.
My wish is that, just very quickly, my wish is that Lambert gets his transfer targets, because I think we need to trust him. I think he's proven in his last few months what he's capable of, and I think we just need to back the manager for once. So that's my wish as well. Lambert gets his shopping list.
Okay, my actual wish, rather than top six, would be that unless we have a disastrous relegation this year, that Paul Lambert is in the dugout at the start of next season.
Nice. Sean Young, what is the official Blue Monday statement after Mikey Smith was spotted wearing Norwich City merchandise? So Mikey Smith of the podcast team has been photographed on Twitter wearing a Norwich City hat. Richard?
And it doesn't surprise me because we know that there are secret Norwich fans lurking all over the Blue Monday team.
Where's my season ticket gone?
So yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Mikey will be reprimanded. There will be penalties to be paid. Don't worry. 16th of February we'll get the stocks out or something, and we'll do something.
Actually, I think we can do the projector there. So maybe that picture might get another airing. Joe, with the acceptable punishment.
I think we should transfer him to the Talk Norwich City podcast.
You can sit next to Chris Reeve.
You can sit next to Chris, yeah. God.
He said it's been imposed upon him. That's what he said. It's been imposed upon me.
What is more unbelievable, the fact we won or the fact Jonas Knudsen played in the World Cup? Tim Harvey. Joe, harsh.
Oh. Sounds like a Chris Doig motivational speech, that one.
Imagine you saw a poster, Chris Doig, motivational speaker. He's handing out business cards or something. Oh, can't get back into the old football now. I'm doing motivational speaking, but bloody Kevin Keegan's getting all my work, I tell you.
Got this little book, forward by Duncan Goodhue, you know. Like to laugh a few times a day.
Joe.
Well, Denmark's a small country, isn't it, with not a huge talent pool to pick from, so it doesn't surprise me that a championship regular is in their squad, but I'm surprised that they qualified.
Jeremy Bowling, our Italian, not native. What are you if you just live? Expat, there we go. Do you think it important that Town fans hang on to their feelings after yesterday's game when further down the line may be called to weigh up results-based football against good, entertaining football? Richard, you touched on this already.
I thought the atmosphere was, I don't know how it transferred for you, Joe. I think you're the other end, aren't you? Mm. But the North Stand and the Blue Action guys were pretty relentless yesterday as they were against Stoke. But I think we need to accept that one win is not going to change everything in straight away. So patience, but we do need to kind of carry that positivity because Lambert is trying to build it, isn't he? So it's a. Does that answer the question? I think I might have misunderstood.
Do you know what does change everything? Love,
yeah.
Michael Ball.
People say he's just a big pair of
Joe, how did this is Tim Pashley, last one. How did Spence and Jack do down the right hand side? Good partnership there.
To be honest,
more secure than Edwards.
I think Lancaster struggled a little bit yesterday. He struggled to get into the game and was caught out a couple of times coming back inside onto his favoured left foot. And I think Spence did well to sweep up after he made mistakes. But it was positive to see that Lambert kept Lancaster on, kept him trying to do that rather than just pulling him off at the first opportunity when there was making a mistake. Not like that.
Filth.
Keep talking. I'll be gone for at least 2 minutes.
But I think when Edwards did come on, he put himself about well, won a couple of good challenges.
He did get a couple, good tackles from Edwards, and Lancaster just quickly in terms of Chalobah as well. Lancaster kept trying stuff, didn't he? Keep going, Ben. Come on, professionalism is, and that is what I want. I'm on form with these office quotes. I'm loving this.
Oh my god, people who don't like the office quotes, they're just gonna hate. This is like the worst thing they've ever heard, ever.
Archer special next week.
Dear oh me. Right, I've composed myself now, like John Nolan in The Wind. I've composed myself, but I'm not safe, Joe. Don't worry, because I'm going to the roundup. I'm a maverick. I don't care. New leaders: Bolton 0, Leeds 1. Let's focus a bit more on Bolton because they're more in our stratosphere. They are absolutely dreadful. We know that there's no money there at all, and there's been embargoes and whatnot. So it would only be players going out, although I don't know whether they have any saleable assets. Bolton could definitely finish 24th, Joe.
Yeah, no, I think Bolton are. They've fought against it a couple of times in the past, but I think they are totally screwed this time. They they aren't paying the players' wages. I'd imagine they're going to have to sell people in January. They've actually got a signing that they've got to pay £1 million for from Forest Green. That money's still got to go out on one of those agreed loans. So I imagine the second half of the season is going to see very young teams. They're just going to have to play the players that are at the club, and they will get relegated.
Norwich drew, Richard, at Bristol City. Norwich are terrible. Only got a point in this game, not the usual 3. We're 2-1 down as well, and Hernandez comes on and sets up a goal straight away. It's going to get more difficult for Norwich the next few weeks, away at Blackburn, and then they start to play the top teams. Do you think we'll see the natural order and then possibly not having the money that the others going to spend? Are they going to come down with the Christmas decorations?
Hopefully so. I'm going to nick my colleague from the previous show, Harry's analysis. He listed his top 6, and it didn't include Norwich or Sheffield United, I think.
I think, sorry, Rich, I think they'd do well not to finish in the top 6 now. I think they need something like 30. I think it's like 1.4 per game to finish. But I'm talking about the top 2 here now.
Yeah,
which
and
is
there was an ominous stat that came out maybe a couple of weeks ago about the likelihood of teams being 24th at that point in the season and staying up, but also the teams in the top at this point in the season not going up. And I think it's probably us sometime in 2004 or 5 or whatever it is, who were top at the table with 21 games in or something, haven't gone up automatically. So they do well to not go up. But as you say, I don't think they've got as much clout in the transfer market as others. And their defence is a bit leaky as well. I don't think that defence is as tight as it could be. So, yeah, they're probably good for playoffs, but hopefully nothing more.
I'd love nothing more for Norwich to finish 7th and us to finish 21st. Just the total troll.
Sheffield on the last day as well.
Sheffield United 1, West Brom 2. I think we've covered this. Harry would call them the haves and the have-nots. And Sheffield United, what more can they do with their resources? And then you come up against Rodriguez, Gale, Barnes, Barry, Livermore. Who's the other midfielder? Can't remember. But Sheffield United come in next week, so we'll talk about them a lot more this week.
McGoldrick watch. He scored for United.
Also, guys, if I'm Norwich, look at West Brom's next 3 games: Rotherham, Wigan, Sheffield Wednesday. 7 points incoming at least. Yeah.
I think the biggest highlight of this game was that the West Brom goals were scored by Barry Gibbs.
Oh, nice. You don't know what it's like. Baby, you don't. That's that wasn't Barry Gibb, that was Robin Gibb, wasn't it? Sorry. There you go, Barry Gibb. There you go.
What does Dave do in these moments? Has he got a button he presses or something to stop you from singing?
Cringes. Yeah.
Okay, we just have to sit in and
cringes along with the rest of the
audience. I was
audience.
literally about to do another Joe and I stopped myself before you cracked up.
Derby Forest tomorrow night. I will be at that one. Looking forward to that. So check that out on the channel. Middlesbrough.
Just really to pause. That's a fierce local derby that's played on a Monday night.
Nah, can't be.
Nah, sorry. Keep going.
QPR Borough 2-1 to Rangers. Borough in really bad form, or is this the Machiavellian Pulis doing a deliberate bad run to persuade Steve Gibson to
give me some money?
Some money. But Joe, are Rangers beatable on Boxing Day? We never win there.
No, I think they are just a solid, probably upper mid-table team that will play well a lot of weeks, but also they've got the old Rick in them and a bad result, and you just want to hope they've had too many spuds on Christmas Day and we catch him cold on Boxing Day.
Lovely. Rich, your favourites: Villa 2, Stoke 2. The run for Villa, it's not come yet, but if you've seen their games, they've just played Derby, Birmingham, Forest, West Brom, Stoke, and they've got Leeds next week. So I think their run to 4th or 3rd place is going to manifest itself more in sort of February time.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Stoke on a bit of a run now as well. It looked like Joe Allen was the star man there yesterday. He certainly was last week. And Codger is starting to play into a bit of form now. He's been out of the team for quite a while. He came back, I think, on the derby, I think, against the Blue. Did he play on the Second City derby? Ben, do you remember that? Codger?
All I'm thinking about is Rosanna by Toto. Because Joe Allen, all I want to do when I wake up in the morning is see you rise. Joe Allen. Does it work? No? Scans?
Before my time, possibly. I don't know.
You did Toto.
How dare you?
Come on
What do you
now,
think I am?
Rich.
30s. Yep.
Swansea 2, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Selena on fire in this one, Joe.
Yep, scored one, set up one. I think the biggest story was coming out of Sheffield Wednesday at the end of the game with
Oh, the F1 with the BBC guy. Love it.
Josh Lahukai losing the plot, storming out, effing and blinding.
Sorry, I'm such a hypocrite. When Mick did that, I hated it, but when someone else's manager does it, I'm like, hilarious.
How is he still in charge there? We want him to stay there as long as possible because he does not seem to be able to turn that round at all.
No. Blackburn 2, Birmingham 2. Nailed on draw this one all the way, wasn't it, Rich?
Well, Birmingham, their away form isn't as good as their home form, but it was a bit of a meltdown by Blackburn. It was 2 goals in something like 2 minutes for Birmingham. But yeah, I mean, their home form is just crazy, Blackburn. So they'll finish mid-table, the pair of them, I suspect.
Norwich at Blackburn next week. Preston 3, Millwall 2. Good result for Ipswich, Joe. Millwall can't get anywhere near their level of last year.
No, they did miss a couple of chances at key points in the game, but Preston have goals in them and continue to score 2 or 3 a game at home. And I say they were in a very false position when they were at the bottom of the table. And I think our point against them is probably looking better now than it was at the time.
Over the last 12 games, I think they're like 1.9 points per game. So they've been on promotion form for over 12 games, so over 10 games. Hull 2, Brentford 0. So Hull, Richard, give us the blueprint for what everybody needs to do in the bottom 4. Like 15 points in 8 games, if you can do it. Stick a little run together. Good job by Nigel Atkins.
Yeah, as much as it hurts me to say it, I mean, I think he's a bit of a cowboy, but yeah, 2, and similarly to us, 2 really crappy, scruffy goals, 2 tap-ins when the keeper, I think, has spilled it. And what about Brentford, who you saw really early on in the season when
I said they were the best team I'd seen.
Yeah. And Frank's presumably is on borrowed time as well. There's 3 managers there, potentially, that we just talked about, maybe out of work tomorrow.
Living on borrowed time, John Lennon. Rotherham 1.
But with regards to Hull, I think Fraser Campbell shows what a good striker can do at this level. He's an England international previously, and I thought against us he was brilliant. He held the ball up well, he occupied the defenders, and he can still score when given half a chance.
If you listen to our excellent interview with David Johnson, he said much the same thing. Look, I was quick, I could shoot, and I was fit most of the time. And in the Championship, if I play all the games, I think I'll score most weeks. So there you go, Championship football. Rotherham 1, Reading 1. Water is wet. The Pope is a Catholic. Rotherham draw. Whose match is this one?
This is my one, I think. But Rotherham 8 draws out of the last 10.
10 in 13.
Well, they've unbeaten. They haven't lost 9 of the last 10 games, but they just haven't picked up many points.
But that's fine at the bottom until someone starts winning, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. But I think they'll be disappointed not to beat Reading at home. Reading are a poor side, but they got lucky. Well, not lucky. They got a late equaliser, so probably that helped us though. That late equaliser.
Yes, it did. Top goals. We're on to the extrapolation here. We now have an outright leader. Top goals: Freddie Sears with 5, Edwards 4, Jackson 3. Top assists: Sears again 2, Ward 2. Top minutes: Chambers, Knudsen, Chalobah 3rd in the minutes. Skews, Pennington. I've cancelled my extrapolations since we've been so rubbish. So the entire bottom 6 are 1 point per game or below, which is less of a standard than the average for the last 10 years. So 46 at the moment gets you like 18th place or something ridiculous. Surely that will pick up. Maybe it won't. Who knows? Ipswich currently on 0.63 points per game. So to get to 46, they need 32 points from the remaining 24 games. 1.33 is the target for the rest of the season, which is 4 points every 3 games, i.e. win, draw, lose. That really average where you have the same in each column for the rest of the season. It's hardly amazing form you need to stay up here, Rich, is it? I know we're terrible, but...
And as we've said, the teams around us, if they're not getting points deductions or sacking managers, are going to be in lousy form as well. So it could be a real slog. And as long as we're kind of there or thereabouts by the start of January, then you give us a chance.
Lovely stuff. Let's go to 2 Little Ducks. Now, I'm going to be strict. Joe, your face on that. I'm going to clip that. That was like, Really, I have to do
Oh,
this shit.
forgot about that nonsense. It's
Rubbish.
much easier, Joe, when you're hosting and you don't have to give any answers.
In the words of Tolkien, with great power comes great responsibility. Or have I misquoted him? That is Lord of the Rings, isn't it?
That's Spider-Man, isn't it?
I thought it was Spider-Man.
I've done that one on here before, haven't I?
I know. Yeah, just say
Exact
any old
same
crappy
one and
movie
been
quote. And
corrected.
say, yeah, that's Chaucer, I think.
Been corrected. What did I get wrong earlier? Ellis Harrison, he wasn't even on the bench.
Yeah.
Having a bad day. You had a bad day. Daniel Powter. Do you know that was the number one for royalties between like 2000 and 2010? Daniel Powter made
Was
the
it on a
most money.
TV advert or something?
I don't
There's
know.
a trivia.
But it's like Radio 1 and Middle of the Road and, just went everywhere. Ka-ching. Bit of fun. Two little ducks. You've got to take this seriously because I've made it really easy, though. Yeah? None of this, Joe, none of this helping out. Are you going to do lunges or something?
Yeah.
None of this helping out, okay? So, let me explain the rules before I give you the really easy game that you need to get over 15 on, okay? You need to name as many players that started the game that I've chosen as you can. You each get a golden goose. I can help you out with that. That's fine. I'll tell you when to use it. You basically get one gimme each. And huge substitutes, we're okay. We'll write them off, but you don't get the point, okay? So, former Ipswich manager Roy Keane was on TV this afternoon being grumpy for Liverpool versus Man United. Keane was famously red-carded in an epic FA Cup semi-final replay between Manchester United and Arsenal at Villa Park on the 14th of April 1999. So your game, which has absolutely nothing to do with Ipswich apart from the Roy Keane link, is Arsenal versus Man United. FA Cup semi-final replay, 1999. Absolute classic games. About 20 world-class players in this game, and a couple have not. But so, are we good with that one? We remember the game. Guy twirling his shirt over his head, missed penalties, free kicks, all sorts of stuff. Do you want to go first, Joe?
Ryan Giggs.
You substitute. You can't have a point for that one.
Wow. Roy Keane.
Roy Keane. There we go.
David Beckham.
David Beckham scored, didn't he? Did he score a free kick?
No,
two.
Open play.
Open play. Lovely goal, as Barry Davies say.
Lee Dixon. I think let Giggs in.
Lee Dixon, yes. 3.
Patrick Vieira missed a penalty.
And set up. Dennis Bergkamp missed a penalty, but Patrick Vieira passes the ball to Ryan Giggs for the goal, doesn't he? 4.
I think I'm assuming Seaman's in goal.
Seaman, 5.
Dennis Bergkamp.
Dennis Bergkamp, 6. Sorry.
Keown.
Keown, good shout. 7.
Peter Schmeichel.
Schmeichel, 8.
Gary Neville.
Gary Neville, 9.
Paul
There's a theme
Scholes.
here. Paul Scholes, you substitute.
I've run out of my stuff I've written down. Can I use a golden goose on Teddy Sheringham?
Sheringham started. Don't worry about your goose. I'll give you. So
right.
10, good.
Andy Cole.
Andy Cole, that's a golden goose. Did not start that game. No involvement.
Who played for Arsenal?
Lots of really good football players.
They have Lauren.
No, and you already said the right back anyway. So bad flaw in your logic there, Rich. That's your golden goose. So all gone now. It's sudden death now. You're on 10, Joe.
Dwight York.
And that's it. What? No Dwight York or Andy Cole in that game. Listen to these two teams. This is utterly ridiculous, right? Seaman, Dixon, Winterburn, Keown, Adams, Vieira, Petty, Parler, Lundberg, Anelka and Bergkamp up front. Schmeichel, Neville, Johnson, Stam, Beckham, Butt, Keane, Blomqvist, Solskjaer, Sheringham. Outstanding.
I'm embarrassed for both of us that we should have thought a little bit more
The
about
thing
that.
with Two Little Ducks is I have been helping lots. So when you're strict, like 7 to 10 is a good score. And when Dave had to do it on his own.
I just can't believe neither Dwight York or Andy Cole played, to be honest.
Didn't need him.
No.
Didn't need him.
Even as subs or...
And doing all that research of Ipswich 2, Wigan 1 in 2004, 2005 was totally wasted. Alan Marn played for Wigan.
Did he? Played for both. Giggs, Scholes and York were the substitutes. Good bench. Bold, Canu and Overmars were the substitutes.
Oh, was York a U sub?
Yeah.
You knocked me out on Dwight York.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to
Take
check
the
back
tapes
the
back.
footage there. Did that
Take the tapes
happen?
back.
Yeah.
Didn't it say Andy Cole?
I said him first, and that was my golden goose, and then Dwight York.
Oh, sorry. I've done that before and messed up. I've messed up a lot on this podcast, haven't I?
To be honest, I wasn't. Did we have anything after that, Joe? I'm not sure I had anything lined up after Dwight York.
I had 2 or 3, but
Oh, there
Oh.
you go.
Well, I'll give you 12 then.
Not let me down. You've let Joe down.
I've let
worse
the
than-
listeners down. Worst of all, I've let myself down.
Yeah.
If I cared, it'd be a problem, wouldn't it?
I'm not angry, Ben. I'm just disappointed.
There you go. So Rich and Harry will do the preview of Sheffield United. So, Joe, let's talk about the 3 games, and bear in mind 1 point per game is kind of acceptable at the moment. Sheffield United at home on the 22nd, Rangers away on Boxing Day, Borough away on the 28th or the 29th, I think. 3 points from those 3 acceptable getting to January, Joe?
yeah, no, I'd take 3 points now from those games if we could get it. One win and anything else would be brilliant. I think from those 3, because Middlesbrough is one where you don't expect to get anything. You're going to be Pulis balled into a 1-0 or a 2-0 there. QPR hit and miss, and then Sheffield United. Like I say, I know they're a decent side. You've just got to win your home games, don't you? And they're not in the best of form, and I think you just got to try and get something from that. But yeah, 3 or 4 points would be great. Anything more would be unbelievable.
Richard?
I guess the other variable that we haven't really talked about is it's a busy period and teams will be rotating players, won't they? And you've got to hope that the likes of Sheffield United will underestimate us and drop a few players and we'll surprise them.
It's not unusual for Sheffield United to take out Duffy and Sharp for easier, quote, away games, and Washington and Lundstrom play instead. They've done that against Reading and against Brentford.
But I'd agree with Joe. That number of points, about 3 points or something like that. Just, as long as we're there or thereabouts, that 5 point gap is maintained come 1st of January, I'll be happy.
And to the question that was asked earlier on the Twitter, just following up 1 win with another win within the next 6 games would be really, when you look at that form chart and it's got 6 games, it's very rare down the bottom you see 2 W's within the same. I mean, there's none at the moment. Only Ipswich have won anything. So those 2 wins, Joe, if they're, and I mean, I know we're looking at the Millwall game, but did you see what I'm saying about following up 1 win?
Yeah, you don't want to get into another long run again where you don't see where the next win's coming from. Like I say, and you don't want to get into, like I say, we'd lost the last 4 coming into this game. You don't want to be losing every week as well. So, like I say, hopefully that it can just act as that boost just to get the season back up and running and just try and pick up some points. I've got every confidence in Lambert that he's going to get more out of this squad than the previous manager would have done.
And the other thing is, yesterday before the Wigan game, 8 points was the gap, and suddenly yesterday it's 5, and everyone feels much better about 5. Imagine if it was 2, next Saturday. That's another boost as well. So just chipping away at those points, I think, is the motivation to kind of get us into January.
Richard, you'll be back on Thursday with the preview show. Give that a bit of a plug for us and what we expect.
Yeah, I turn up and do no prep and name players that Harry mentions that I've signed in Football Manager and pretend that I know where they came through
if
from.
They played for Cov.
And Coventry City or Villa players and all that kind of stuff, and give a bit of a West Midlands slant. So, but yeah, Harry does all the hard work. We'll talk Sheffield United mostly. We'll do a bit of a bolt on for QPR as well, because I suspect probably I'll be too lazy to do anything between the Christmas
there won't
period,
be anything.
You never know.
No.
So,
and where can we find you on Twitter, Rich?
At Ipswich.
And Joe, where can we find you on Twitter?
At Joe Fairs.
Are you doing any academy things in the next live tweeting of anything? Or
I don't think there's much going on at the moment because I think they're finished for Christmas now. They won't be playing next Saturday, so they'll be home. But we've got Gillingham in the FA Youth Cup 4th round with a tie in January. So Gillingham away. So it's one that on paper you think looks a decent enough tie, but they've actually beaten AFC Wimbledon and more notably Blackburn away, who are Category 1 academy in the 3rd round. So that's going to be a tough tie, but we've got the quality to beat them there. So fingers crossed we get a good result and a good draw in the next round.
And where's that academy Twitter, Joe?
It's just at ITFC_academy.
So if Joe's at an academy game, he'll often live tweet, just worth checking the phone and watching what's going on if you want to know about the academy. Under 23 sometimes does as well. Follow both of these guys. Follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom for the other extra championship content we do. Sign up at YouTube to get all of the stuff we do here. Always very much appreciated. As you can see, integral part of the show, the tweets. So we do appreciate everybody getting in contact the whole time. Is this the last? No, there is another show. But I don't know. You won't be on next week, Rich. You might be on next week, Joe. So, Rich, do you want to do a Christmas message?
I'll do a plug for Stat and Dave because there is going to be a This Week in ITFC history.
Oh, you're teching,
probably out on
When's
Tuesday,
that?
I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we'll do that tomorrow night. So whilst you're at Forest Derby. So yeah, that'll be out. And my Christmas message to everyone is be nice to each other. Fingers crossed for wins and fingers crossed for survival in 2019.
Be nice to each other, Joe.
Be lovely. Merry Christmas as well, obviously.
Merry Christmas, one and all. It's not Christmas yet.
No.
Bye.
See you later.
That's got to be the ending. Him saying, see you later. Brilliant.
See ya.
Right then.
Even better back to Stewart. Oh, he's going to be slightly sweetly. Round the goalkeeper. And scores a magnificent goal at the top end.